Good day to everyone. We are here for such a special occasion. At this month at King Art Baptist Church, we've been concentrating on leadership, and this has transitioned into a special refuel where we're going to be able to talk to one of the pioneer leaders here at the King Art Baptist Church, one of the longest serving pastors of this church, a visionary in this country, in the British Virgin Islands, and what we call an ambassador for what it means to be a senior pastor and a Christian leader in a modern time. Today we have the privilege of interviewing and talking to and learning from none other than the senior pastor of the King Art Baptist Church, Reverend Dr. Melvin Turnbull. And this is a very special occasion for me because of the executive pastor, not only under his leadership, but also his son. So, if I get a little teary-eyed, please bear with me. And we're in a live studio audience. They're here to support us. They're here for their claps. So, we look forward that this conversation, whether you're a leader in a church, in a business, in your home, one thing about leadership principles, they transcend no matter where you are. So, we hope you will join us, share the conversation, and we will grow from this. So, I want to say welcome to our stage, not as this is your stage as well, but welcome to this conversation on tonight. We are so honored that you've taken the time to, now you usually do the interviewing. I'm sure this is a little bit interesting to be interviewed on this way, which you've been interviewed before on many stages. We want to say welcome to you.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to call you Dr. Mike. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a pleasure to be there. It's actually a humbling experience as I sit here and reflect on where I've come from. It's a real humbling experience to see you here and you being groomed and getting ready to take over.
The tears are not supposed to start till after. All right, so the tears are not supposed to start till after. But we're so honored that you are here. So we're going to jump right into it, if that's okay.
Sure. Can I do this?
Yes,
because
of course.
Tomorrow is our anniversary.
Yeah.
And I took the time out to be here tonight. So it's special. Yeah. So I want to wish my wife a very happy 43rd anniversary.
So whenever this... So when this is aired, you'll timestamp it. And when this recording took place, that he was about to celebrate his anniversary on the following day, and we were here to have a great time of conversation, and then you have a little bit of respite. That's going to be an important topic about rest and balance as a leader as we go down in our conversation.
Most definitely.
All right. So, to jump right into it, did you always want to be a leader?
That's a good question. No, I was actually thrust into it. I guess someone would say I had all the makings of a leader because it started very early. From as early as about 7 years, I can recall doing things that children ought not to be doing. And I remember when I was about 12, 13, I was called in, and I actually sat my father and mother down and counseled them. I don't know what I said, but it seemed to work because everything seemed to be better after that.
Yeah.
My first experience actually started with goats, believe it or not. And so I had goats, used to take care of them. I was about maybe 7 and going on to 10, taking care of goats. They were well trained though. They were the kind of goats that I could just give directions to and they will follow.
Yeah.
And
that's how leadership works.
That's how I started.
That's how leadership works for everything, right?
But the truth is, you're not a leader unless you're a follower.
Yeah.
You can call yourself a leader, but if you have no following, you're not a leader. You're just fooling yourself. Yeah. So the sheep, or the goats rather, is where I started. And it's also where I started not just leading, but also preaching. And I can remember, I can see myself on top of this huge rock, just preaching to my goats. And they would stay right there and listen. Yeah. And when it was time in the afternoon to go home, I would just let them out and they would just go right. And I used to show off. I get by my godfather and I said, stop. and they would stop.
Yeah.
You know, so they were obedient, not much like the sheep we have today.
Well, well, let's not. We have people here. So, in terms of leadership, you talk about it, when you think about it, how many years would you say you've been in formal leadership here at the King Ark Baptist Church and in your life?
Formally, I think it started in 1968, because once I renewed my faith in Christ in 1968, I right away got busy and never stopped. So I started leading a youth fellowship along with Pastor Lyman and some other brothers, and we were there. That's how I grew up. No one had to tell us to do anything. We took the initiative. We saw a need, we filled it. Because I always tell people, if you are the one seeing the need, it just may be that God wants you to do something about it.
Yeah. So in terms of leadership, starting at around 17, 18 years old, I'm sure there's so many lessons of leadership that you've learned. I want you to start to share some of those.
Yeah.
But as you think about when you were starting to say that you're a leader, how did you know you were a leader?
Well, I never called myself a leader. I just did what I thought God wanted me to do. Leadership, though, I want to explain to somebody who might be struggling with this. Leadership is defined in my book as being able to influence. It is the ability to influence others.
So so leadership can be used to influence for good,
exactly,
and for bad.
Yes.
So a lot of people have leadership skills and qualities and the ability.
Exactly.
But how you choose to use it becomes
exactly. So I didn't qualify it yet, because all you need to be a leader is to have influence, and the purest form of leadership is by inspiration. When you're able to inspire others to do that which they normally wouldn't do or think they cannot do, and if you're really good at it, they even enjoy doing it in the process.
Yeah.
And so that's for me what leadership is. And I find in this day and time especially, and even growing up, that people who are not able to influence others have a tendency to resort to manipulation, intimidation, and also seduction.
Yeah.
And I also discovered, I was sitting in my office the other day and looking at life and looking at what's going on, and I found out now that manipulation has a new face. It's called the victim syndrome. When leaders are now called out to question and to give an account, they're called foul.
Yeah.
They become the victim. And the truth of the matter is, people are hurting, and hurting people hurt people. Yeah. And as a leader, you don't have the luxury of saying, oh, poor me.
Yeah.
Do the work that you're called to do.
So, now you are a seasoned leader, but I want to go back in time.
Okay.
Early. Did you make mistakes as a leader early on? Did you always have it laid out? Were there mistakes along the way?
I don't have it laid out now.
Really?
I don't have it together.
So
let me just tell you the truth of the matter is, there were times, and even now, when I don't even know what the next step is. That may sound strange to a whole lot of folks. A leader is not necessarily one who has it together. But you see, if you are going to be a leader, you have got to be under a leadership. I tell folks all the time, you should not be in authority unless you're under authority. So as I follow my leader, which is God, and I have also other mentors, then I understand the importance of leading others, because if I can't be obedient, why should I expect others to be obedient? So yes, I have made mistakes. I can't remember what they are, but I'm sure I have made mistakes along the way. But the truth of the matter is, no matter what mistakes I may have made, I have found myself to be open, to be accessible, and to be corrective. And so I never thought and never feel that I have it all together.
So leadership is not about perfection?
No, it's not about perfection at all. You check out the Bible, for example, and even in modern day times, the people that God called, and here's the important thing. God, if we're talking about God and spiritual leadership, God calls us as leaders from among the people. And that is critical to understand. He doesn't take you from the sky. That's not where you were. He takes you from among the people, selects you, and decides whether you think you should or can or not. I want you to do this. Another thing we'll discover about this same leadership is that your leadership is not far removed from your lifestyle. There's a certain trend. God has never really called anybody while they're just sitting down there asking. It is while you do what you know that God reveals what you don't know.
Yeah. So this is getting good already. And if you think about it in terms of how you lead and being called out from where you are, that means that if you're under, even if in secular world, wherever you are, but especially in church, in Christian church, that God could call anyone from any seat in the church, outside in the parking lot, in usher ministry, to lead.
Most definitely.
Because some people think that leadership is qualified just for the pastor.
No. He calls you from among the people. I want to develop this because it's important for those who are struggling. He calls you from among the people, which means they know you. You hung out with them. You were their colleagues and all that. And now to make that switch and that transition is difficult.
Yeah.
Because they're going to tell you, I know when you, this is way back at the time, when you walk with no pants on, just a shirt.
Yeah.
I know you this and I know, and they also know all your mistakes and maybe all your secrets. How do you distance yourself from that? So here's the key, and I tell young people this, and young leaders in particular this often because it's critical, that as a leader, you ought to be close enough to the people you lead to pick up their heartbeats, but yet far enough not to compromise yourself nor your conviction.
So that means as a leader,
and it's difficult to balance.
You have to be able to find and first know who you are.
Exactly.
So what are some of those things that you discovered about who you were as a leader? Because every leader has different proclivities and different strong suits that they accentuate. What are your strong suits as a leader?
Yeah, well, I think it was always talking.
Yeah. We know that, Pastor.
Now watch yourself. Yeah. It was always talking. I had this ability to talk. But not only that, things that people struggled with sort of came to me naturally. And I can remember many instances. For example, we had a school trip. This was in high school. Went to the radio station, ZVVI. And as I hit the door and I opened my mouth and hailed the gentleman, he said, "You should be on radio." I said,
so wait, this is very phenomenal. So I know we're talking about leadership, but I think all of us here are interested because as